Organ transplantation is a common theme in science fiction and horror fiction. Mary Shelley's 1818 novel Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, in which a human being is assembled from the transplanted body parts of the recently dead, can be regarded as the first novel to feature transplantation, although the novel predates the term. Numerous horror movies feature the theme of transplanted body parts that are evil or give supernatural powers, with examples including Body Parts.Hands of a Stranger and The Eye. Organ transplants from donors who are unwilling or incapable of objecting to having their organs removed are a recurring theme in dystopian fiction. Organ theft. The term organ legging was coined by Larry Niven in a series of short stories set in his known space future universe, originally published in a 1976 collection called The Long Arm of Gil Hamilton, later expanded and re-released as Flatlander. The story The Patchwork Girl was also published alone as a novel in 1986. In Robin Cook's 1978 novel Coma, set in the present day, the organ thieves operate in a hospital, removing the organs from patients in a facility for the long-term care of patients in a vegetative state. The story was also made into a film, Coma, in 1978, and later into a two-part television mini-series aired in 2012 on the A&E television network. Organ theft is a theme in a number of horror movies, including Turistas, and also as a theme in realistic dramas such as Dirty Pretty Things and Inhale. State-sanctioned organ transplants from criminals. The same series of Larry Niven stories also contains the theme of organ donation from criminals becoming institutionalized within society to the point where even minor crimes are punished by death. In order to ensure the supply of new organs to an aging population, Niven originally developed this theme in his novel A Gift from Earth, first published in 1968 and also set in his known space universe. In A Gift from Earth, the descendants of colonists from an interstellar colonization mission are preyed upon by the descendants of the crew, who enact laws that make even the most minor offenses carry the death penalty to allow their organs to be harvested and stored in organ banks for later use. The theme had previously been explored by Frederick Pohl and Jack Williamson in the 1964 novel The Reefs of Space, the first novel of the Starchill trilogy, in which mankind labors under the plan of man enforced by computers within a surveillance state. Unlike in Niven's novels, donors are kept alive for as long as possible to enable more organs to be removed for transplant until they eventually succumb from their injuries. The novel also features a Frankenstein-like theme of a man assembled entirely from the body parts of others. Organ transplants from victims raised to be organ donors. The idea of state-sanctioned involuntary organ transplants is taken one step further by the concept of creating people solely for the purpose of acting as organ donors. Generally, these donors are clones of their eventual organ recipients. This idea has been explored by several writers. The 1979 science fiction horror film Parts, the Clonus horror, written by Bob Sullivan and Ron Smith, is set in an isolated community in a remote desert area, where clones are bred to serve as a source of replacement organs for the wealthy and powerful. The clones are kept in a seemingly idyllic environment of apparent leisure and luxury, right up to the point where they are killed for their organs. Michael Marshall Smith's novel Spares has a similar premise. Unlike the clones in Parts, the Clonus horror, the clones are kept in conditions resembling those of farm animals or a concentration camp. The 2005 American science fiction action thriller film The Island continues the theme, where clones live in a highly structured environment isolated in a compound. After the movie's hero learns that the compound inhabitants are clones who are used for organ harvesting nursing and surrogate motherhood for wealthy people. In the outside world, he escapes. Kazuo Ishiguro's 2005 dystopian novel Never Let Me Go also has a similar theme to its predecessors, but lacks the action-adventure theme of the previous works, concentrating on the characters' feelings and personal stories and the development of psychological horror at the plot. It was later made into a 2010 British drama film of the same name. Recently, a commission for Radio 7, called Jefferson 37 by Jenny Stevens, also explores the same theme in a 4-part radio play. The whole plot takes place within Abbotsville, a free-range laboratory, where the clones are deliberately dehumanized. The story culminates with the humanity resisting the desire to quash it. The plot of Unwind, a 2007 science fiction novel by young adult literature author Neil Shusterman, takes place in the United States, after a civil war somewhere in the near future. After a civil war is fought over abortion, a compromise was reached, allowing parents to sign an order for the children between the ages of 13 and 18 years old to be unwound, taken to harvest camps, and having the body parts harvested for later use. The reasoning was that, since all their organs were required to be used, unwinds did not technically die, because their individual body parts lived on. Organ repossession. The idea of the repossession of transplanted organs has also been used in fiction, in the films Repo Men and Repo. The genetic opera, comedy, organ transplantation has also been used as a theme in a number of comedies, including The Man with Two Brains and the horror comedy The Thing with Two Heads.